I'm Captain Trip with Boat Test, and today I'm aboard EdgeWater's 250cc. This boat is designed primarily for offshore fishing, but it also has a lot of elegant and luxurious touches on board that make this more of a premium boat that can be enjoyed by families as well, because EdgeWater actually surveyed their customers and they found out that about 50% of the time, or maybe a little more than that, people are actually going to the sandbar, but they want a boat that can also fish, and that's what this thing does. We're here at the EdgeWater factory, and right now we're standing in front of one of the 25s, and this one is just about through with the rigging. It's about to go to QC. Coming here, we're able to take a look at some of the details and how this boat is actually constructed and some of the processes that go into that make the boat special. Whenever I say single piece infusion, now I'm at the factory, I get to see exactly what they're talking about. Right now, we're watching the vacuum infused process of this hull, and we can see how the stringers and the hull are all done at once. And this is what makes the boats so rigid, and that's something that you can't see when you're at a boat show or you're on the water. Granted, you can feel it when you're underway in some rough stuff, but being able to see it in action really says, okay, this is what's going to make this EdgeWater boat so sturdy. We're looking at a lot of fiberglass mat here, and it's all labeled, and not only are they all labeled for different pieces, but they're different materials. And one of the reasons that they're different materials is that there's different flow rates of the resin through the mat, and each piece needs to be flowing through the right rate so that they all get saturated completely. That's going to give you that optimum strength that you're looking for. We're looking at a completed deck mold of the 25, and there's a few things I want to point out to you. Number one is there's no wood in this construction. We can see this core here, which is certainly a good thing over a wood core, because this is a boat after all, and water does find its way into those tight places. And also at the front, notice that the insulation on these compartments is fairly thick. If you're actually going to use this as a cooler, you can, and it will work efficiently. Here's a look at a bit more insulation. This is at the bait well. You can see there's quite a bit here. You want to keep those bait nice and cool, keep them alive. Now that we've seen EdgeWater's signature single piece infusion process in action, let's take a look at a finished 250cc and check out its features. Since this is primarily a fishing focused boat, let's go over the fishing aspects. First one we're going to mention is this pressurized live well, and we went to the factory and we got to see how well this is actually insulated. Then, if you're really bringing in the big boys, you have this side tuna door, bring the fish in, open up your insulated fish box, and drop it right down in there. Even a macerated pump down here, and you can see these are pretty lengthy. This boat is unsinkable, essentially. It is foam filled, but a lot of times with the foam filled boats, you don't get the storage in the deck. Well, EdgeWater made sure that that's an option. That's why you have these insulated fish boxes. When it comes to rod storage on the boat, EdgeWater certainly thought of that. There are 4 rod holders along the transom, 4 additional ones at the top of the hardtop, and then all around the boat, there's cup holder, rod holder combos. Now at the back of the helm seats, you have a substantial grab rail, good to hold on, keep you secure. Maybe you're out rock and rolling, it's a rough day. Then you have 2 additional cup holders, but also a few cutouts for knives and pliers. Along the starboard side, on the gunnel, you have tow rails to help hold you in place, some rod storage, and combing padding all along the side of the boat. If you're bringing in those big ones, that's going to really be appreciated. And then up along the hardtop, if you're taking your fishing a little more serious, maybe going to the next level, there is places to install outriggers. A bit more rod storage is under the deck on the starboard side. This is a lockable compartment. Looks like you can fit 2 good-sized rods in here in those brackets, or if you don't need to store the rods in there, fold them away and you have additional underdeck storage. There's also an in-deck storage compartment, which would be an ideal spot for a battery if you want to install a trolling motor on the bow. Going through these deck hatches reminds me of the single piece infusion construction method that they use that we saw in the factory this morning. And I can feel it and how solid it makes the boat as I walk around. It's just something that you can be confident in, and that's why EdgeWater has a lifetime warranty on all their hulls. In the center console market, yes, fishing is very important, but the manufacturer also understands that the luxurious aspect is very important to some of the users of the boat as well. And that's why EdgeWater made sure to include several luxuries up here and make it comfortable. You have this wraparound U-shaped seating with padded backrests all the way around. Of course, the stitching and the finishing touches, the upholstery, all looks fantastic up here. But also, you have a backrest that can be flipped into place. Maybe you're riding facing forward when you're underway, you're still going to be comfortable up here, or even the seat just in front of the center console. There's also JL audio speakers, cup holders, USB chargers. There's also the handrails up here, which is very important if you want the boat to be ABYC compliant, which this one is. There's also a table on board. It can be secured in this bracket, create a comfortable dining area. And there's storage underneath these seats, and I particularly like the latches that they've chosen. I haven't seen these yet, but it's a simple push button on the outside. It's not a paddle latch, you don't have to go up under the cushion. I think it's the cleanest way that I've seen this done so far, and I really like them. These compartments are also insulated. We saw that back at the factory, so if you want to turn these into a cooler, you can do so. Also notice the underside of the hatches are finished. That is a sign of premium boats. Stainless steel gas struts is as well, and you even have a light in here. So if it's dark, you need to know what you're getting at, you can do so. Up at the bow, there's a few features I want to point out. First is the obvious, that's the anchor locker, complete with a electric Lumar windlass, plenty of room down there for your rode. We currently have it deployed as we're anchored here in New Smyrna Beach. There's also a bracket, so the swim ladder can be attached to the bow. So if you pull up onto the beach, people can come and go as they please with ease. There's also 2 cup holders. These are complete with the rod holders and 2 pop-up cleats. Coming back alongside the center console, you have about 19 inches in here between the bolster and the console. That's plenty of room to move around. And just underneath, they've tucked in the swim ladder very neatly and concealed. Now coming back, I can't help but notice how narrow the gunnel gets here. EdgeWater doesn't have to compromise the design in order to maintain the strength and integrity in their hulls. That's because of that single piece infusion construction method. This boat is also 8 foot 6 inches in beam. Now what does that mean? Well, that means that you can legally trailer it in any state. Some boats of this size range, they're actually a little bit over that because they're trying to get as much interior volume as they can. So remember, you're getting interior volume without sacrificing strength. The solid construction continues into the center console and the hardtop. I like how the frame of the hardtop is integrated into the console. It's all powder coated. It contours to kind of match the hardtop and give that sleek, clean look. Also, grab rails continue all the way around. There's also 2 JL audio speakers, and then this boat is equipped with a standard package, but you can get the premium audio package, which comes with a few more speakers and a sub. You have a few LED overheads to give you some working light down below. There's also floodlights on the back of the hardtop, 1 on the front. You spin these, and the anchor light and the VHF antenna, they raise and lower. So you don't have to go up there and fiddle with that if you're coming up on a low bridge. Simply spin them, and they're coming down. And there's VHF radio, push button controls, and an electric vent so you can let a little more breeze in if you're underway. Our boat is optioned with a color matched underside of the hardtop and dash. That's just going to be clean and classy. We have the gray and black, which contrasts well. The material on top of the dash isn't going to give a lot of reflections off. And I noticed that there's some tint in our windshield, but you can tell it's high quality tint because I have my polarized sunglasses on and it doesn't look splotchy. There's also 2 12-inch Garmin screens complete with the Garmin digital switching. Fusion audio unit. Push buttons. This is going to be for the autopilot, which is on board. Extremely handy for some long runs. You have 2 wireless scan strut chargers, and then controls for the SeaKeeper ride system. And of course, everyone's favorite, the joystick and your throttles, and then a steering wheel, which is on a tilt base, and it has a knob on it so you can really crank that thing quick if you're in a tight docking situation. Just under the wheel, within easy reach of the operator, is the VHF mic. I like having it close by, and start and stop buttons for the engines. The Helm seat is double wide, being 35 inches in width. Both seats have bolsters if you want a little elevated viewing platform or just standing while underway, and the backrests are vented. So if it's really hot out, you're gonna get that extra airflow at your back. And the heavy duty hardware shows right here at this armrest, just underneath the seat, is a cooler, and that's standard to keep all those beverages cold. When we're thinking about a day on the water with the family, one of the important things that needs to be considered is a head. It is worth mentioning that this grab rail is really well placed. If you're coming forward, it's a good handle for safety, or if you're going down into the head, it's perfect for that as well. As you would expect, there's not a whole lot to show off down here, but there is elbow room, overhead room, a light above, and some extra storage space. But there is something down here that is worth showing off, and that's this electrical panel. You can see all the fuses here, battery switches, and then your battery status readouts, but the real sauce is back behind here. This is what I'd want to show off. So you open this up, you see how clean this is. You have all of your breakers, but at first glance you may look and think, oh, look how dirty that is. Well, no, that's not actually dirty. That is corrosion preventative signs right there. So when that's there, you know someone has put the right touches on this electrical system to make sure it doesn't give out on you when you're in a harsh saltwater environment. That's going to protect it. Just underneath, there is access to 2 of your batteries. And then just behind me, there's a triple bank battery charger. And there is an opening port so you can get some ventilation down here. I like that they thought to add a magnetic catch on the back of the door. So when you open it, it stays open and isn't banging around. The swim ladder not only goes on the bow, but you can also install it in the bracket at the side entry door. If you're doing some diving, it'd be a perfect place to come aboard. If additional seating is needed, or it's too rough to ride up to the bow, there's a flip-down bench seat back at the cockpit. This will provide room for 2 people to ride comfortably. The swim platform can be accessed through a 19-inch wide opening at the transom door. There is a freshwater shower right here that pressurized along with your freshwater fill. Also, a reverso engine flush system. It's going to make flushing the engines out with fresh water easy at the end of the day if you operate in salt water. And at the end of the pontoon, at the swim platform, there's a 3-step telescopic swim ladder that can be concealed underneath this hatch. This may be only a 25-foot boat, but EdgeWater still did provide about 6 inches or so of room on this platform with non-skid so you can safely walk across to the port side. And I like how clean the rigging looks on these engines, and these Yamahas should perform well. Let's go see how they do. Our test boat has a length overall of 26 foot 6 inches, a beam of 8 foot 6 inches, and drafts 31 inches with the engines down. The test weight was estimated at 7,100 pounds with 50% of the 140-gallon fuel capacity on board and 2 passengers. The boat was powered by twin Yamaha 200s turning Reliance SDS 14¼ by 18 pitch props. It can also be optioned with a single engine. Even when testing the boat in fairly rough conditions, we found the top speed to be at 5,900 RPM where the boat went 49.2 miles an hour. Best cruise in the conditions was at 3,500 RPM where we recorded 25.5 miles an hour, getting 2.2 miles per gallon, giving the boat a range of about 309 miles with a 10% fuel reserve. On our whole shot test, the boat reached 10 miles an hour in 3.4 seconds, 20 miles an hour in 6.2, and 0 to 30 was 8.7 seconds. Luckily, we've got a sporty day out here today, so we really get to put the boat to the test. A lot of times we'll test the boat and it'll just be flat, and you don't really get to see how the boat performs. Well, as you can see, it's a perfect day for testing, and we even got to a point where they said, Trip, just give it all you got and see what the boat does. You're not going to break it. So that's exactly what I did. I was coming into the waves, head seas, fairly spicy out here, and they even got airborne one time, and the boat felt solid. That single piece infusion construction that we saw in the factory is indeed paying off when you're underway, even making cuts and sharp aggressive turns in the rough seas. Sometimes you'll hit a wave, turn the boat, it'll want to slam down to the side, everything just shakes and rattles. I didn't notice any of that. T-top was hard, no wobbling. Everything was just solid underfoot. I was comfortable and in control here. And of course, visibility is fantastic. The boat with this power option, the twin 200s, plenty of power, like a fun and exhilarating amount of power. I could be running 30 miles an hour, hit the throttle, and you feel it pick up pretty quickly. So it's really a sporty boat to run, and I stayed dry the whole time. The boat's not covered with salt, and we were in some pretty nasty stuff and really seeing a lot of spray out there. When I was running, I was standing up with my bolster up, but if I'm sitting here cruising, I do like to have the bolster up and I can prop my feet down on the footrest below. I can still control the boat with ease. Or if I really want to be comfortable, put the bolster down, turn the radio up, the speaker's right above my head. Been taking advantage of that today. It would just be a fantastic boat to just do some casual cruising, sandbarring on, or even fishing like this boat's built for. So right now we're back at the dock wrapping up our day, and we're going to test the joystick on this thing, the docking feature, because when you opt for the twin 200s versus the single 350, you get the joystick, and of course it's a handy thing to have. So with this docking situation, we have a current behind us and the wind behind us. So I'm going to come in and with my stern into the current and into the wind for better control, but really with the joystick, it doesn't really matter because you have a lot of control with it. I'm just going to try to bring the boat alongside parallel to where we're going to be docking. Then I'll stop the boat and then go into joystick mode. And we'll kind of slow our creep a little bit. Be sure we're good and parallel to the dock. Thanks for coming along on this performance test and features inspection of EdgeWater's 250cc. We had a great day for testing, learned some things about the boat and the brand. I'm Captain Tripp with Boat Test. Remember, life is better on a boat.